Hey, everybody. It's Eric J. Olson. Today, I am interviewing someone for the Managing Partners podcast. Now, interestingly, our guest is not a managing partner, but he works with a lot of managing partners. So he has a product that is used by attorneys, personal injury and workers' comp attorneys who are on the defense side. And this has to do with legal billing. So if you're one of those kinds of attorneys, this is going to be a really good episode for you to learn how you can increase your billings, basically get more out of your billings using his product. So without further ado, let me bring in Andre Wouansi. Hey, Andre.
Hi, Eric.
Hey there. Hi. Let me read for the audience your bio so they get a little sense of who you are, and then we'll just have a little talk. So Andre is the founder and managing partner of Accurate Legal Billing Incorporated. Accurate Legal Billing is ALB. ALB is the world's first AI-powered time entry cleansing platform that intelligently and automatically processes timekeepers entries. All right, that's the key. So they conform to e-billing guidelines, allowing law firms to achieve time entry 100% compliance with client service level agreements. Hey, Andre, how's it going?
I'm good, Eric. Yourself?
Good. Now, I said in the intro, like before I brought you in, that you're not a practicing managing partner, but that is part of your title. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure I didn't get that 100% wrong. But
managing partners. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, besides what I just read from the bio, tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're at, your business, and how you kind of got to where you are right now.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for inviting me to the show. I'm fond of your show, and I couldn't wait to be here today. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in. I really appreciate that. So prior to starting ARB, I used to own an e-billing company with other partners. So for nearly 2 decades, I was on the other side, being one of these guys who was in charge of ensuring compliance, helping ensuring defense, helping insurance companies, TPAs, and all of those with the legal spend. So my job was to ensure that no attorney can mess around with the billing guidelines. So over the course of nearly 2 decades, my company, we reduced over $2 billion on law firm bill. So over 3 years ago, I decided to switch side and help the law firm say, look, somebody need to help these guys because there's so many things that they get reduced, not because they didn't do the work, but just because the narrative or the description of the work being done is so poor. They don't have a tool to help them to put in the correct narrative. And they're all puzzled all the time. They don't know what the e-billing vendors are looking for. What is it they're looking for all the time? So I decided to come in and and build something for them that will help them to achieve those compliance. So I've released 2 different platforms for them. One is they can enter time into ARB, and as they enter time, ARB compliance is done on the spot. An attorney doesn't need to pick up a billing guideline. A billing department doesn't need to study a billing guideline. I built that in a tool for you. This tool will tell you what is the information that the e-billing vendors expect of you. It will tell you that. For some firm, we're big enough. They said, look, we're not going to change our culture. We're using the time entry system. We have 1,000 attorneys. We're not going to change. But we're still seeing reductions. How can you help us? So I released my first platform. People came back to me with those. They kept saying, no, we're not going to change. They could not change. And we know in the legal industry, the attorneys, they are reluctant to change. So I went back in the drawing board and said, you know what? I'm going to come out with a solution. And we built a second platform for them. This platform now, 100% AI. We integrate this platform with you could be any law firm using any time and billing platform. We integrate with those platforms. We take the entries, they come into ARB, the AI reads this entry, tells you what's wrong with them. Not only tells you what's wrong with them, it tells you what to do to fix them. And then it goes back into your time entry. If you don't want to change time entry, we have a solution for you. You don't need to change. We will integrate with that, and we will use our AI to do the work.
Yeah, so I love this from a lot of different levels. One is as an entrepreneur, you saw a problem, and you saw that problem because you used to work on the other side of the problem, if you will. And actually, let's if we could take just a couple minutes to kind of explain the mechanisms here for those that aren't familiar. And I know before you and I spoke a couple of days ago, I wasn't familiar. So if let's say I got injured,
correct,
and I hired an attorney for me, right? And my attorney sued the insurance company, right? At that point, that's when you would kind of get involved, because the attorneys on the defending side, those defending the insurance companies, they're doing their legal work. Yes. And then they have to submit it to the insurance company, and the insurance company looks at that bill and says, this is allowed, this is allowed. Oh, this one is not, for whatever reason. Correct. That's the compliance we're talking about, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Because the insurance company, they started by saying, look, we working with these attorneys, they're billing us for things that they shouldn't be billing for. So they came up with these billing guidelines and say, look, stick to these billing guidelines. But also, they realized that they could not enforce the billing guidelines themselves. So they went out to vendor, a third party, to enforce these rules. So when the attorney is sending their bills, they're not even sending the bills to the carrier. They're sending the bills to a third party.
Mm. Now, the e-billing platform?
Correct. So this e-billing platform, they have their tools that they build to check on this. They use the tool, they use human being. And that's what we used to do. And you will catch so many things. And it is very clear in the billing guidelines that we will make reduction with our first point of review of your invoice. It's not the time that you spend doing the work. Attorneys always get confused. They say, oh, they don't want to see a certain amount of hours. I say, yes, for certain activity, they will limit. Legal research, they can say, look, we don't want legal research in excess of 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on the billing guideline, depending on the client. But what they will say is that your narrative will determine whether you should be paid for that time you put in or not. But what attorneys quite often do is that people don't spend the time to give the narrative. They just write, attend a deposition. Yeah, who was that deposition? What time did it start? What time did it end? And some of these carriers now push it to the point where they say, hey, how many hours did you take as a break? When I say to managing partner that they want to know how many hours you took as a break during the deposition, they say, well, these people are crazy. I said, no, is it the billing guideline? And you guys agree to the billing guideline to do business with them. So that's where we come in and say, look, we have a tool for you that's going to do all this for you. So when your invoice goes to these e-billing vendors, they can't find anything to correct because you gave them details of your work exactly as you performed it, and that was what they were expecting. So hence you can see on our website where you have that 100% compliance, because we've been able to achieve 100% compliance, not for small law firm, for AM 200 law firm, for small law firm, and for big law firms. We've done that.
That's really impressive. So the other part of your origin story, if you will, that I really appreciate is that you used to, like, where you're at now and the work that you're doing, it used to be just the opposite, right? And
correct.
And I use the analogy of like someone who was an IRS auditor.
Yes.
They audited tax returns for years. They know the ins and outs, and they know the IRS inside and out. And then all of a sudden they switch sides, if you will, and now they're like a secret weapon, if you will, because they know exactly how an auditor thinks, because they were an auditor for 2 decades. Correct. Right? And so that's exactly what happened here. So your job before was to take these billings submitted by the PI and workers' comp defense attorneys and find issues. I would imagine you're probably, it'd probably be a good thing if you found more issues, thus reductions, right? You're reducing from $1 million bill to a $900,000 bill. The higher that spread, the better you're doing your job, right? That was your goal. Yes. Now your goal is just the opposite, to minimize that spread.
Correct.
Right. And so that's really, really interesting. That puts you in an incredibly great position for the product and service that you provide.
Yes.
And another thing, honestly, that I think is quite bold, is 100%. It's sometimes that's a big claim, and a lot of times it's very difficult to be able to make that claim legitimately. Just as an example. We host our clients' websites, and I would love to say 100%, but if it goes down, one website goes down for 1 second in a month, you just blew it, right? You're not. You could say near 100%, which is we say 99.99, but 100. That's really difficult to achieve.
When we say 100%, I can give you a phone number of a AM 200 law firm, one of the top law firm in this country, that can say to you, yes, we use ARB, and ARB saved us 100%. We were losing X amount per month, and now because of ARB, we were able to save 100%. We've seen no reduction. And all of these firms, when they come to us, the first thing they do is, they find it's so hard to believe that they can achieve that kind of result. So they will go in and they say they're going to do a trial. They take for a trial, and based on the result of the trial, they will decide whether they go in or not. And I'm not going to say that every single firm that work for us achieve 100%, okay? But the majority are achieving 100%. That firm who decided, AM 100 or AM 200 law firm, who decided that, look, I did not achieve 100%, but I save enough to know that if I roll out this platform to my entire client portfolio, I can save $1 million, $2, $3, $5 million by the end of the year. And this without changing anything to my process. I can save this money, not changing anything to my process. So not everybody is seeing 100%, but they're seeing enough money on the table to say, yes, I'm going to this platform.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what's great is you have that very specific, exact ROI.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And these law firms, they're seeing these reductions, say $100,000 month after month after month after month. So it's very clear that they're doing, just using an easy example, they're doing $1 million worth of work, and they're getting cut by $100,000 every month. They pay you whatever your fee is. Boom, it goes up to $1 million they're collecting after submitting a million.
I have firm coming, I can't name anybody, but I have firm that says, look, we lost $5 million last year on this one client alone.
Wow.
Okay. This is one carrier. They reduced their bill by $5 million. And they use that as a trial in our system. And when they see 30% or 40% reduction becoming 10%, that extra 20 or 30% that they're realizing is enormous. That's one client. If you're in an AM 100 law firm, you have several of these clients. So you can see the numbers that soon makes a big difference.
Yeah. How do you price your product?
We have various options for them. We cut it down now to 2 options. We used to, years ago, we were giving them 3 or 4 different options. Some people, the early adopters, they benefited from that a lot because some people saw what the platform could do, and they decided to buy outright. So today, I turn around to those people. It's like, you guys made lots of money because, you save yourself a lot of money because today I will charge you 4 or 5 times what I gave you as early adopters. But today we went from 5 different pricing options to 2. There's a monthly flat fee per attorney, or there's a monthly flat fee for the entire firm. So they choose which option they want to pay. And we do our integration and we charge them a one-time fee for integration. And because our platform is so unique in terms of billing guideline, you have to imagine we cannot roll it out to every firm the same thing, right? It takes a lot of effort. So we build certain tool that helps us build the platform. So what you get, there's another machine somewhere that we build that's helping us building what we giving to you. Because if we just use human being all the time, it takes such a long time. We have firms that they come in 400 billing guidelines, right? They have 400 clients that they want us to roll out for them. You cannot do this because every single billing guideline, we have to go through every single billing guideline and we have to identify certain things. And we have to customize this because you have an attorney working on 5 different clients, 5 different billing guidelines, 5 different ways to bill for the same activity. He does the same work, but needs to bill 5 different times. We don't want him to think about that. We do the thinking, we put it in front of you, just use it. And there's something, I'm always pushing to the next level. So I already pushed my technology, I already pushed my AI to the next level. And where we're trying to get to is I want my AI to study people billing pattern. Okay. I want my machine to do the time entry for you. And I'm always almost halfway there what we do.
For those that are watching, I have a lot of experience in software development. That was my previous career before digital marketing. Mm-hmm. And, building, this is my guess, I'm guessing, for you building your initial tool where the attorneys would put the time entries into your tool, that was tough because that was, the first product, the first evolution of what you did. My guess, though, is that the second evolution where you're interfacing with their billing, e-billing, the various integrations that you've done, that's a whole nother level of complexity. Every integration is custom and it's unique. And, you may not be able to use a lot from integration 1 through, to integration 7. They're all different. And then the billing guidelines that you're talking about, you have to take those from a written form and you have to codify them, right? You have to tell the machine, this is allowed, this is not allowed, et cetera, right? And what to look for. And those customizations, that's a lot. And it's quite impressive that you've been able to do that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Where do you have a background in like computer science, or how did you go about even building this thing from the beginning?
I'm not, people will not believe this, but I'm an accountant. I'm a trained accountant. And then I'm from England. So I moved over to the States about 11 years ago because the business that we started over there in England grew up massively in the US. So we have to come over to grow our company. And then for the past 20 years, has just been around technology. And, you recruit people, you work with the team across. And also, look, I saw a problem and there was no solution because everybody in the e-billing world is all about how much money can we make saving on the law firm bill. It's all driven by that. No one thought about the attorneys. So sometimes people say to me, hey, Andre, how did you come up with that? You either had to be the person who were doing this reduction to come up with that kind of solution, or you had to be someone that they abuse so much that you have to find a solution. I say, yeah, I was the latter. I was the former, where, I was the one for years making this reduction. And it was my company. I wasn't working somewhere. And so we created certain things, and which kind of led to, easy for me to try to find a solution to what was built. And because I also seen all these problems. Look, I did not review the invoices through my previous company just from one country. We reviewed invoices from 70 countries. So
Wow.
I was exposed to law firm working in 70 countries. I can tell you across the world how these law firms are billing, what kind of errors they're making on the bills. When you see those things year after years, and we're very good at it because there's some of the largest insurance carrier in the United States. You cannot work for them for a decade. They won't keep you for a decade if you're not good at what you're doing.
Impressive. How do you go about getting new clients?
There's word of mouth. Sometimes I get a phone call, oh, we heard about your platform. We heard about your technology. We don't know if this is true. So we want to check it out. I also have an internal team. So I have a sales and marketing team. They do a lot of some inside sales people do cold calling. They do email. We do Google AdWords, and lots of LinkedIn, and we produce YouTube videos, and etc. So we go through all the usual channel like you guys would do.
That's excellent. Well, good for you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Andre, if someone is interested in your product or wants to reach out to you, what is a good way to do that?
They can reach out to me personally, always open. They can email me at alw@accuratelegalbilling.com, or they can go to our website, www.accuratelegalbilling, and then pick up the number from there and call. We always answering our phones. There's no phone service. There's no answering machine. We always make sure that somebody is there to answer call, or they can email us. They can chat to us on our website. We always have some people there working, not 24/7, but most of the time. So,
well, good for you. Now you make it easy for people to get in touch with you. I really like the product that you've built. I think it's a fantastic idea. You're an insider, clearly, who's built a product that addresses that particular pain point. As a business owner, you saw an opportunity. No one was addressing it. You're addressing it. So, well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Eric.
All right. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to spend this afternoon with you. And I hope that you invite me another time.
All right. Hang on a second, all right?